Welcome to Future Consideration, the internet's premier NFL draft show. That over there is Matt Ufford. He's our NFL guy.
Correct, and Dan Rubenstein watches college football.
I do that. Let's take a look, first off the bat, at Dan Kadar from Mocking the Draft. This week's mock draft, the top 5, not all that different. A lot of defensive line and outside linebacker types in that top 5, which is really nothing new for what we've got going in front of us.
We've seen this. We characteristically go through the top 5. The
Yes.
Bucks are taking Jameis Winston. Titans, Leonard Williams, the defensive tackle we both like so much.
True.
Jaguars get a pass rusher with Dante Fowler from Florida.
Very raw, but very
Raiders
good.
taking Cooper.
Pollard.
And Washington going with Randy Gregory, the outside linebacker from Nebraska.
Aggressive and raw. My one question for you as an NFL gentleman, would you go Randy Gregory if you're Washington? Marcus Mariota still on the board there.
It depends on whether you want to cut ties with one Robert Griffin III.
Right, because they have addressed defense and free agency. Washington has.
I think that with the departure of Brian Orakpo, Randy Gregory makes sense.
Right.
Give Robert Griffin III another year.
Wow, okay, there it is. Let's jump around a little bit.
Yeah, let's head towards the second half of the first round.
Yes.
With the Eagles going with Jalen Strong, the wideout from Arizona State.
Huge position of need,
Absolutely.
obviously with the loss of Jeremy Maclin the year before, Deshaun Jackson. A young core of receivers, I think, is fair. A lot of Oregon Ducks.
Jordan Matthews.
Jordan Matthews had a promising rookie year, but that is a position of need. I don't know if that's where they go, but they did address a lot of defense and free agency.
Next up, Detroit Lions at 23, also a position of need.
Yes.
Defensive tackle Eddie Goldman from Florida State.
Right, Haloti Ngata is not going to play that forever for Detroit. He comes in free agency. Eddie Goldman, very, very good, anchored a good defensive line for Florida State. Had injured late in the season, but has the talent to be very good. Is much more of a 4-3 defensive tackle than a nose.
Sure, Eddie Goldman also did my taxes last year.
Oh, yeah, that sounds right. He's my dentist, I think. Dr. Goldman. Yeah. Next.
24. Oh, this is a mouthful. I'm going to have to get used to saying this. Owa Odigizua from UCLA.
You did a pretty good job with it. Owa Odigizua. Physically built very, very well. Never dominated at UCLA. Came in as a 5-star, was a rotation guy, showed immediate flashes, but never really became the finished product that a lot of people expected.
And the Cardinals obviously have a lot of faith in what they can do in developing defensive linemen.
Alex Okafor, a very promising year last year. And finally,
let's finish things up with 31. The New Orleans Saints acquired a second first-round draft pick from the Seahawks. And for Jimmy Graham, they would take Eli Harold to bolster a defense that needs a lot of help.
I think you're just exactly right. I think it's just bodies. It's just young, talented, and just aggressive bodies. Virginia, year in and year out, they may not win, but they're producing NFL players on both sides of the ball up front.
I did not realize that Virginia had a college football team.
They do indeed.
Wow.
Basketball power.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically where we're at now with the first round of the newest mock draft.
Cool. Those are the highlights from Mocking the Draft's mock draft this week. In order to see everything, check it out at SBNation.com.
Yes, it's a fantastic thing. Where are we going next?
Let's talk about the best safeties in this year's draft.
Let's do that, because it's not actually a fantastic year. There are a lot of guys that do specific things very well, but the list of complete safeties, I don't think it was anywhere near what it was last year with Calvin Pryor, HaHa Clinton Dix, guys like that at the top.
And your number 1 is Landon Collins from Alabama.
I do like Landon Collins a lot. Defensive backs in Alabama has been sort of hit or miss these past few years, but we constantly see them go in the first round. Landon Collins, much better as a strong safety coming up, very aggressive against the run, decent in pass coverage, has decent instincts, can get caught looking into the backfield because he loves the run so much and addressing that, but is very good, is versatile enough, has good size. Even though he's not tall, he is stout and can run with tight ends very well.
And your number 2 is Duron Smith. I gotta be honest, I did not watch a lot of Fresno State this year. Fill me in.
He is very good. He has been a very consistent performer. He's not exactly a ball hawk, but he is productive, is good against the run, can be a little, I guess not overly aggressive. He improvs a little bit, but he is very good. He is just not at the excellent level yet, but productive.
Does not sound like a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, I'm not fully there yet.
And 3, Demarius Randall, Arizona State.
I like him a lot. His instincts are terrific. His closing speed is very good. He's one of those guys who are like, oh, another pick 6 for that guy. Just has a nose for the ball, is a center field type, is not the most physical guy, but is somebody that will have the ball in his hands one way or another.
And number 4, a guy from a fantastic defense.
Yes.
Ole Miss and their swarm of angry Hornets.
Yes, well, they're the land sharks. This is what they do after they pick balls off.
Cody Pruitt.
Yeah, Cody Pruitt is great. Another true center fielder, great instinct. He excels in zone coverage, not great running alongside receivers, can let guys behind him a little bit, but really when the ball is in the air, he does have that shark. Is it a snout that sharks have?
I think it's a fin.
It's a fin in the front, yeah. So that's basically what he is. He changes the field. He's not the best against the run, but he's sound enough with the backside tendency, stuff like that.
One of the best names in the draft.
Yes.
Jaquiski Tart.
Jaquiski Tart. Really good size, a great athlete, is good closing against the ball when the ball is in the air. He hits receivers right when they're getting it. He changes play. He ends plays. Needs to be a little bit better against the run, but it is one of those guys that, again, in coverage, you can count on him. Will let guys behind him a little bit too much, but if he can really up the speed, he's going to be really good.
Jaquiski Tart.
Jaquiski.
The extra T is for Tart.
Yeah, Tart. All right, those are our top 5 safeties in the 2015 draft. Where do you agree and disagree? Let us know in the comments.
Let's move on.
Let's do that. What do you got?
Let's talk about the AFC South team needs.
Okay, this is an interesting one.
Yeah, because we've got, the AFC South is typically the Colts and then
the Colts and pals.
The Colts and J.J. Watt and garbage.
Yes.
But so let's start with the Colts. And they've made great free agent signings so far.
They have.
A couple of elderly gentlemen from the U to bolster the offense, and Andre Johnson and
but not necessarily the problem. For Indianapolis.
But added some talent on the offensive line.
Yes.
And also Trent Cole. But we talk about their needs, and that starts with nose tackle.
Yeah, they need somebody as wide as this desk.
They desperately need someone who can stop those monsters, Jonas Gray and LeGarrette Blount.
Oh, however, will you do that? Just by getting they
need some talent. That's I would say is their biggest need.
Yeah.
Also safety. Laron Landry, the PED enthusiast. Yes. Laron Landry has been cut. They need another safety to pair with Mike Adams.
Right. And on the offensive line, if you're going to invest in Frank Gore, obviously Andrew Luck's payday is coming very, very soon. The middle and right side of their line has been a need for improvement.
Yeah, Gosder Cherilus, one of the great names in the NFL. Not so much the talent they need. He might hold on to that job simply because of his contract.
Right.
But center, right guard, right tackle, they need some more talent
They need to address there. All right.
The Texans.
Yeah. A team it feels like they're very close to being good. If they can stay healthy and get average quarterback play.
Yeah, this is what a sad thing. They're just like, this is what a great team if they could just have an average quarterback.
Yeah.
And Brian Hoyer and Ryan Mallett, nice guys. But
far below, at least Hoyer is far below average.
The Houston Texans, the best quarterback in their team history is Matt Schaub.
Yeah, for like a year and a half.
That makes me sad.
That does.
That makes me sad.
What do they need?
I would love to see them have a franchise quarterback.
Okay.
Beyond that, they need a center. They cut Chris Myers. There's talk of moving left guard Ben Jones inside and then putting Xavier Suafilo in the line for him. But regardless of what they choose to do, they're going to need some depth there.
All right, and on defense, obviously rushing the passer is not going to be an issue, but behind, or I guess in the middle of those outside linebackers, they're getting a little older.
Brian Cushing has suffered from multiple injuries over the last couple of years. And that's the solid part of the inside linebacking crew.
That's true.
At the other spot, they did a rotation last year because no one could really hold the job down. They need youth and talent there.
Yes, and behind the linebackers?
They could use some help at defensive back. They're set at cornerbacks. They signed Raheem Moore, but DJ Swearinger is kind of alternating between stealing his own truck and letting his dog bite Jadeveon Clowney.
Entertainment value-wise,
DJ
Swearinger is a Pro Bowler. He's everything you want in a headline.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the Jaguars.
Let's do it.
A youthful team getting a lot better.
They're better. It's a slow build. Defensively, there's actually a lot to like about them up front.
There is.
Where are the holes?
Let's start with running back, actually.
Yeah.
And not something you're going to spend a first rounder on.
Right.
Denard Robinson was a big surprise last year.
Yes.
Who was not a surprise was Toby Gerhart.
Right. You know exactly what you're getting in Toby Gerhart, which is not high-end anything.
I like Robinson a lot, but I don't think he's the every down back that
he's
you
much
want.
more. He's a versatile guy who can come out of the backfield, run some different stuff.
And they could use a center. Jacques McClendon lost his job last year, and Luke Bowenko.
Yes.
I think I just said it wrong, but...
no, you're good. It's close. People know who you're talking about generally.
I'm in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And neither of those guys is the long-term answer.
Yeah.
They need a talented center, too.
Yeah, they invest in the quarterback last year early on in the draft. Obviously, the receiver position isn't terrible, especially if they can get Justin Blackmon back with what they drafted last year. But yes, there are some holes, and especially now along the offensive line.
Let's talk about their third overall pick. Now, their defensive ends, they cut Red Bryant. Chris Clemens is very good, but, but pushing into his 30s now. And they're probably going to use that third overall pick for pass rusher.
Wouldn't hate that.
No, Dante Fowler's a great player.
Yes, next.
The Titans. Now, this is a team, how do we put this? They're set at left tackle. They're set at cornerback.
Sure.
They're set at outside linebacker.
I like their defensive tackle situation. I like Jarrell Casey.
After that, they've got some big holes, and let's start with quarterback.
Yeah.
Zach Mettenberger, he can grow a great mustache.
He can.
I'm not entirely sure that he is the person you want as your franchise quarterback.
His ceiling is, he's all right.
Yeah.
He's all right. Your voice goes up when you talk about Zach Mettenberger. He's all right.
If he can start 12 games, that's a huge improvement over Jake Locker.
Right, but it's not going to get you to the playoffs year in and year out.
No. They could use a right tackle. They signed Michael Ower in free agency. He was not good.
Didn't work out.
He's cut. They could use a right tackle. That's a very important position to have,
I would say
Dan.
so.
That's my opinion as a football expert.
Look at you.
Their defensive line, outside of Jarrell Casey, they're not good against the run.
Right.
They did not have a very good pass rush. They need to add some talent on the defensive line.
And at 2, if Leonard Williams is there, which we assume he will be, big win.
That's how you feel by putting that guy who is wider than this desk.
This is true.
And then at safety.
I was going to say Leonard Williams versus Brian Hoyer. Who you got? Who you got?
At safety, Denora Searcy, the free agent signing, helps a lot. But Bernard Pollard was caught. He was caught.
He gets caught, too.
He'll get caught by another team. Michael Griffin, disappointing. To be generous. That's generous to say Michael Griffin was disappointing.
Yeah,
so,
if I'm Tennessee, I'm just piling up picks and just addressing defenders in this draft.
Maybe he's one of those mid-round picks on one of the 5 safeties we talked about in this episode.
That would be a great idea.
There we go.
There it is.
And those are AFC South team needs, Dan.
I'm actually saying right now, the AFC South is going to be entirely more fun to watch this year than it was last year.
I agree. I think if these teams draft well, we could see a stark improvement in the quality of play in the AFC South next year.
Agrees all around. Thank you very much for watching Future Consideration. Of course, AFC South team needs. Let us know in the comments what your team in the AFC South must do. See you next week.